Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to episode 194 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Elvis.
And my name is Barbara.
What's happening, Barbara? How are you?
I'm busy as balls. How many times do I have to tell you that?
I'm trying to figure out how many balls it is until you're busy. How do you measure that? So what's this about you winning a Heartland dental competition? What's this all about? In a short version, Heartland does every year they call it the Heartland Continuum, and they have young dentists and mentor dentists who have been doing it a long time teach the younger dentists how to do veneer cases, how to prep them, provisionalize them, just all the way through. Mm-hmm. And each lab has a certain amount of cases that they do. Night Dental had I think 15 total. They have regions throughout the United States, and there's about 6 or 7 different labs involved, and each lab's doing about 10 cases each. They vote on the regional case, and then the regional case goes to national, and I guess all the Heartland doctors vote on the best case. And my CAC team and myself, it was my personal case, which I'm really proud of, won. Yay. Wow.
I wish I get $1,000 or something really cool, but I don't. But I'm happy for the team, and we all work really closely together, and so we're just super stoked.
So what do you get? What does Heartland give to these?
I guess bragging rights. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. They have a big winter meeting in Orlando, and at that conference, they have a big to-do, and everybody comes in and they announce the doctor and the case in the lab. And so, nice. I guess it's just, it's cool because it's her first
It is
case,
cool. Cash is nice, but winning is also good.
I'm freaking competitive, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
But I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know they were announcing it at the meeting. I didn't know the case won region. I knew nothing. It was a complete and total surprise. I knew that the case was beautiful, and I had a really good gut feeling that it would win region, but I had no idea it would go that far. So I'm just happy because I love what I do, and she's beautiful, and the doctor is great, and it was just a great experience. Enough of that. Whew.
Okay, I won't ask for too many details.
All right.
Other than you kick ass.
Thank
we'll
you.
just leave it there.
Appreciate that.
Speaking of,
we kick ass.
So the t-shirts we sold a while ago,
yep,
we raised over $550.
Awesome.
For the Foundation for Dental Technology.
I bought 4.
Absolutely. I got a couple.
Yep.
We want to give a big shout out and thanks to everyone that ordered the shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to donate it to them and keep our industry strong. So who knows? Maybe in the summer we'll do another t-shirt.
Yeah. Busy as balls.
Busy as balls. There you go. Who doesn't want that on a shirt? So, Barb, do you remember when we talked to the great Nina Frickerton, I think, from England?
Yeah.
We had her back way on episode 171. And during that conversation, we talked about getting Nina and Tay from Annexdent.
Yeah,
I said it right.
I think you did. I think you
Tay
did.
from Annexdent together so Nina could come to Lab Day Chicago and teach a course.
Cool.
Well, they connected,
Aww.
and it's going to happen.
That's fantastic.
It is amazing. It's going to be an amazing course that no one will want to miss. Now, I also found out there's only 15 seats, and they're going fast. So I'm guessing by the time this airs, the Chicago course will be filled. But if you can't wait till February and want to get your fix on pink composites and Nina, she's hosting a webinar called Gingival Artistry for Analog and Digital Dentures. This will be a small group interactive webinar, so don't wait to sign up. She said she's going to cover the annex gum color placement, layering strategy, and basically how to get the best results.
Nice.
All of it in that wonderful accent of hers.
Oh, yeah, that's sexy.
So to sign up, I would say the link, but it's really long. So better if you just head over to this episode's show notes, find the link, and if you want to register, check it out there.
All right.
You need to put on some courses.
Mm-hmm. I've got some things I can teach.
There you go. Let's not do that. Well, maybe the industry does need it.
Yeah, of course.
So this week, we're back in Louisville at the Whitmix Digital Forum. Yep, we got even more conversations. It was a great event, and we talked to a lot of people while we were at the Preet booth. I honestly think, Barb, that we had withdrawals from face-to-face conversations.
No.
And we just talked to everybody that even looked in our direction.
And we hunted a couple down, too. Boy, that was a tough crowd, but we got them.
So this week, we talked to two great technicians that went to the event for two very different reasons. First up is dental nerd Rich Green from B&D Dental Technologies. He was actually speaking at the event, and he sits down to teach us so much of what he has learned about zirconia from his time on the bench to now working and speaking for a company that's a leader in zirconia manufacturing. It's actually some pretty fascinating stuff. And then we talked to the well-traveled, well-experienced implant leader at DDS Dental Lab, Husam Sahwil. Husam took a super interesting path to dental technology, and he runs a large department that has a lot of experience doing a ton of implant restoration, and it's great to hear it from someone that does it every day. So join us as we chat with Rich Green and Husam Sahwil. Husam Sahwil. The Asiga Max, the world's most advanced lab 3D printer, offers exceptional productivity. Well over 400 labs in the U.S. can attest to its accuracy, speed, and precision.
With a 62-micron print precision, the Max is optimized for both the dental lab or the clinical environment. Its exclusive SPS Smart Positioning System technology guarantees that every single layer is formed accurately, resulting in consistent results in any environment. And its single-point calibration makes calibration extremely accurate and fast.
As an open material system, you can print any suitable resin from any material manufacturer. Your choice, no strings. The Max also features the fastest material changeover of any 3D printer.
Labs love this. Change completely from one print resin to another in under 30 seconds, which is really amazing because you and I both know how hard that is. All of this and the finest, most dependable technical support staff in the dental lab industry.
Call Whitmix today or visit whitmix.com to find out more about the Asiga Max. And as always, we appreciate your support of the podcast, Whitmix. Voices from the Bench. The Interview.
He's terrible with names.
Rich green, like the color, a rich green color.
Rich Green from B&D Dental Technologies.
Huzzah.
Here at the Whitmix Digital Forum.
Yay!
2020. Is it still 2021?
Oh,
yeah.
But this is the first time I've been out in 2 years, so I'm just happy.
So we're not certain what year it is, really?
No, Elvis is. I'm good. So how are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. You enjoying the Whitmix Dental Forum?
So far, my presentation is coming up this afternoon, and I was a little concerned about the quality of the speakers here that I would, measure up. But I think it'll be okay. I think I can tell jokes for 10 minutes, so I'm covered.
What is your topic?
We're talking about zirconia. I know you can't swing a dead cat and not hit a zirconia dealer, but as a technician, I know why everything works and how it should work. Mm-hmm. And so I hope to be able to share that information with the people that are here, whether they use our zirconia, which they should, or not. That way they can have a better grasp of what's going on in their laboratory. Zirconia is a fairly complicated material.
Yeah, it is. I don't think a lot of people understand it. We've had a few people on the podcast that really got deep down into zirconia, and you're just like, that much goes into it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the interesting points that I point out a lot, on an all-on-4, I know you guys do, you're well-respected for your implant stuff that you do. They're always being referred to as called Preet. They know what they're doing. But when you're doing an all-on-4 on a zirconia, it'll be 100 millimeters typically around the arch easily. Well, it shrinks about 15%. That means that zirconia moves 15 millimeters in the oven. That's a lot of movement.
That's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
That's a long ways. So when you start thinking of it in that terms, zirconia is a very active material as one processes it. And it's not right to begin with. You can't make it right later.
Sure. I wish someone could film that shrinking and speed it up. Wouldn't that be the coolest video to watch where it's like, pew,
Yeah.
really small?
It
That'd
would
be
be.
really
Yeah,
neat.
it's neat. It used to be that Glidewell had one. But I don't know if you
Yeah.
can still see it or find it or if they've got it online
Yeah.
or anything. But yeah, it's amazing what happens at that point is that the zirconia, as it heats up, develops a greater affinity for one another, and the particles turn into grains, and it gets rid of all the little spots in there, all the voids, and that's why it shrinks.
Yeah. Interesting. So what's your role at B&D? What do you do?
I am the technical support guy. I'm a technician. I've been a technician my whole life, and I've been able to work with B&D, and I now do actually the production manager and the technical support guy. So when I make it the zirconia every day as well as support it for our customers.
So you're actually in there mixing the...
Yeah, I'm actually in it, or yelling at the guys that are mixing it.
Sure. So where are they out of?
Salt Lake City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we do make it right there. We get tons of this stuff in and turn it into discs and send it out the door.
Is it all true that most zirconia all comes from the same place?
Well, zirconium and zirconia are two different things.
Yes.
But the zirconium sands that are in Australia are the largest exploitable amount of stuff right now. And then it all goes to China. Probably 95% of it goes to China to then get processed into zirconia.
Okay.
And so then after that, that's when it goes out to various manufacturers who add their special this and that to it to make it what it is. Because remember, zirconia is widely used. Every O2 sensor in a car has zirconia. White tiles, ceramic tiles have zirconia. There's a lot of uses for zirconia. Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff out there. It's not just dental. And the dental grade zirconia is a fairly refined, shall I say, version of the material.
So what do you like? You said everybody should be using your zirconia. What do you find more special about your zirconia than others?
To be quite honest with you, it is the way we make it. I've commented several times here that you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. The zirconia itself, as one moves through the phases of the zirconia, becomes more translucent, but you lose strength. Mm-hmm. And so the way we make our zirconia, by ball milling it down to such a fine size, about 300 nanometers, which is tiny, it gives you a smaller particle, then turns into a smaller grain, which turns into a more translucent zirconia and greater strength. There's a lot of things that go into it that you have to start with how you put it together. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is, because the nature of the material determines its translucency.
So smaller size equals more translucency?
Yes, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, and I thought this was really cool, I didn't know this, but light, has a specific wavelength size, 650 nanometers. If you have small enough particles, this was kind of interesting to me, if you have small enough particles, the light goes by it, doesn't even see it.
Because of wavelengths.
Yeah, because of wavelengths, actual physical size.
Yeah.
And so it'll go right by it. You can't see, but that was just cool. But the concept here is that smaller grains give you greater control over the grain boundaries, how the light reflects, refracts, transmits, all that stuff. Yeah. And so typically a smaller grain size is going to give you a stronger zirconia and a more translucent zirconia.
Interesting.
So can I ask a question about the shrink rate? If the particles are smaller, does it shrink any differently?
Yes, absolutely. What a brilliant question.
Wow.
It was no, it's absolutely true. Because they're smaller, they start out closer together. Mm-hmm. So the voids that are in each disc that you see, that just are there, they're smaller. So the grains have to move less distance. So that's denser to begin with, and you wind up with a denser product.
Got it.
So that's why our shrink rates are like 1.20, where a lot of the people's are about 1.25. Again, doesn't sound like much, but on a nanometer
on a big
scale,
bridge, heck yeah.
Well, 1 nanometer, to give you an idea how big a nanometer is, 1 nanometer is to 1 millimeter as 1 inch is to 15 miles.
What?
Yeah. 1 nanometer is to 1 millimeter as 1 inch is to 15 miles. So that's how small these particles are. And
how do you even measure something like that?
You have special equipment that we have because we measure it every day.
Yeah.
And we have to treat it as a slurry. If you try to do it dry, imagine trying to compress smoke. It's just about impossible. I don't know of any commercially viable alternative for that currently. And so, by using small particles and making a slurry colloidal deposition process to create our discs, we produce a superior disc. Anybody that wanted to do it the way we do it could probably do the same thing. It's just harder to do.
So you mix it with water?
And some other stuff.
Obviously. The secret sauce.
The secret sauce, yeah.
Mix it with secret sauce, and then what? It presses?
Yeah, we actually use air pressure, vacuum, and atmospheric pressure to get it where it's supposed to go. But the key there is to create a very homogeneous slurry.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's equal in size, it's equal in density, and that's where you get the magic. That's where really the magic happens, is by creating this even dense disc.
See, it's funny. We've been talking about zirconia for so many years, but we still learn
every day.
I mean, bring things up and talk to people like you, and it's like, holy moly, really?
That's very kind.
That's crazy.
And the amount of stuff that goes on there is is amazing because, like I say, as it shrinks, grains are moving over each other. You're creating grain boundary energy, and there's stuff under tension, stuff under compression, and how the liquid goes in there and wraps around the particles. There's electronic exchange, and that's how it gets colored. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that people just kind of haven't got the information on. And because they don't have the information, especially clinicians aren't really well versed in zirconia.
No.
And there are certain limitations. There is no perfect material.
So how did you get all nerded out on this? If you're a technician, but you sound like a scientist.
Maybe I was just a nerd to begin with.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe that worked out well. Well, as a technician for years and years, as I began to get involved in zirconia, I found out that it's people just didn't understand. And I see myself as an educator and a troubleshooter, kind of, not a troublemaker necessarily.
Yes.
But
Good.
I want to help technicians understand their products so that when their doctors ask them questions, they can be knowledgeable and competitive. If you ask one lab and they don't know, you ask another lab and they do know, you get a little competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And so I work hard to create a level of knowledge and understanding in technicians. And if you understand the material, you can fix problems.
That's so true. I agree.
If you don't know what you're doing, how do you know when you get there? You know?
Well, what's also nice is you can talk to technicians as a technician.
Yeah.
A lot of these companies you call and you get these either people that deal with zirconia, but they've never used it in real life.
They don't know what it feels like to walk into the lab in the morning and have a bridge broken in the tray. It's like, my God, it's difficult.
Yeah. So you guys offer all the different shades, or do you do
Yes, in
just
fact,
white?
we have white zirconia, which I kind of prefer the white.
Easier to manufacture?
I like to be able to color it the way I want to color it,
Okay.
instead of using appreciated. But a lot of labs want the convenience of appreciated. It's absolutely appropriate. Our appreciated multi is a great material. It's made out of the same stuff as our just regular Beyond Plus, so it's the same strength roughly. But we make highly tetragonal zirconia. Our live, we make.
What? What'd you say?
We make a highly tetragonal zirconia.
Okay.
That's like live
There's
or
a
Bruxer.
new word.
Yeah.
It is a new word.
Yeah.
It's like tegu
I like
cigalpa. So we've got our live, which is the highly tetragonal, the original kind of version 1 of everything.
Okay.
And then we made our Beyond, which is a highly translucent zirconia. But it doesn't have the strength for bigger bridges. Really translucent. And so we modified that to our Beyond Plus. And our Beyond Plus is still a white zirconia that you color, but it is a little higher in value because we added more 3Y to it in the blend. So it's a little stronger, and the really, really translucent stuff can gray out on the light shades.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. And so then we have our multi, which is appreciated zirconia, it's nice. It's lovely stuff.
Yeah.
I just happen to prefer the white.
What do you sell more of? I mean, obviously appreciated because the stock is more, but what do labs use more, white or appreciated?
Appreciated is growing.
Really?
A lot of people use white, and there's good reasons for that.
Oh, heck yeah.
But the appreciated, because some people want that convenience, there's always a toss-up. If you're going to use appreciated, let's say you're doing classic shades, which is all we have currently, but if you're doing classic shades, you have to have 16 different discs for 16 different shades.
Oh, our stock was insane.
Yeah,
at the lab.
yeah. And so by using white, you do have some advantages to having lower amounts of discs on hand. And you can cut them all out of the same disc and make 6 different shades or 10 different shades.
Yeah.
And so that's very helpful. So it really depends on, certainly with appreciated, it's going to be a more consistent shade, although we don't lack consistency with our regular stuff. So it's partly what you want to do and how far you want to go with, I want to say, this is maybe inappropriate, but
I love inappropriate.
okay, well, I got a lot more for you then, baby. I'll show you inappropriate. So the appreciated is good stuff, but I really like what the white does. I mean, I can fool around with that and change the shades, and I just like the white better.
That's the technician in you.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think
And
that we
that's
need to be
awesome.
aware that I think about this a lot, which is, I guess, nerds me out even more. But we are really, I finally found a phrase that describes technicians or technologists or dental labs, and that is artisanal manufacturing. We are, in fact,
I like it.
we are, in fact, artisans still. And so just because we get better feedstock from our tools that we would get than before, how do we make that a better looking product? How do we create that, the last 10% that is the artisanship on this? And I think we have to remember that it doesn't matter for every dentist, sadly, but for many dentists it still does, and it creates value. If you make a beautiful crown, who doesn't like pretty?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
a pretty crown is a pretty crown. And so you can't make a pretty crown if you got crappy stuff to start with. Well, excuse me, if you don't have as good a material to start with.
I get you.
So you're on a breakout session this
Later on
afternoon
today, yes.
also.
Yeah.
So are you going to have the zirconia? What is your breakout session like? What are you going to do?
It is not dissimilar to what I'm doing now, although I've got more information. You know, you try to run a line there between being funny and techie and odd, and and I tried to run closer to funny and techie because this stuff is complicated. I talked to a gentleman a couple of days ago who's having some challenges with his shades, and I was talking to him about his sintering furnace. And I said, if you have molybdenum to silicide heating elements, we went on about that. Then he called me back a couple of days later, and he said, well, you're talking about that stuff, and I didn't really know what you're talking about. I went, okay, well,
You
did
need
you fix
to.
it? Yeah, you know, and so here, this will help you. So, yeah, again, this is a relatively complicated material, and to manipulate it easily and consistently, you have to know what's going on.
So the breakout's more of a question and answer, or is it a hands-on?
No,
or
it's
what?
not hands. It's
Okay.
just,
I'm just curious.
I tell 10 minutes worth of jokes, like you say, and then I'll do 5 minutes of stuff and answer questions.
Nice. I think I'll pop in.
I'm a big believer in let's have some fun and let's teach people what they need, what they could use if they choose to. I can't make anybody change their mind. Nobody can. And so if I can give you some ways to think about it, I'll give you tools, a vocabulary to speak with your dentist so that when he or she asks you a question, you can say, well, this is what it is. And what is 3Y? And why is 5Y? And what does sintering do? And, I mean, you can ask people this. I'm doing this today as a test. You know, do you know what sintering is? Do you know the definition of sintering? Sintering is making a powdered mass into a coherent mass without melting.
I thought it was just a really long, hot oven.
Yeah, you're exactly
From,
well.
yeah.
What happens is when you sinter
It took me 3 years to know it wasn't spelled with a C.
It isn't. Oh, so yeah. What happens when you sinter any of these powders, metallic powders or whatever, is as they heat up, the particles develop a greater affinity for one another, and they move together and they form grains, but they never melt. I mean, you can visualize melting gold or melting non-precious, but you can't visualize this stuff now it becomes extremely. Look at how hard this stuff is and tough. That's all due to the sintering. It's amazing.
It's
technology.
pretty crazy. It goes from like basically chalk to indestructible.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on a fast center versus the 10 hours? Do you think that it's how do you get a fast center versus a long center, and what is the differences?
What they do is they preheat the oven up to 1400 and then run the crown up into it and run it down. There's a challenge with that. You're never going to get high levels of translucency and great aesthetics just because it takes time for these things to occur, right? And you can bombard it with energy, but that doesn't necessarily get you what you want. And I think you have to do that once in a while, but I don't think it's good as a technique. I mean, we've got some stuff with our new furnace that I think we can fire in 90 minutes or something like that. It's pretty fast.
90 minutes, wow.
But that's only a couple of units in a special tray because it takes X amount of calories to create the cohesiveness, all the movements you got to have, oxidize it, metallic ions, blah, 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 all that junk, right? And so fast sinter, I am concerned that clinicians may be being misled into what they can expect out of a fast sinter on a zirconia.
Are you guaranteed pretty much like an opaque, very
similar? Yeah, I would say so.
Fairly opaque. Yeah. If you're doing number 30 and it was A1, you could probably get away with it because it's not going to show. I mean, you could make it purple. Let's face it. But number 9,
So all these fast sintering ovens that are going to be put in dentist's office so they can do
they're going to compromise
zirconia,
big time.
They're limited on what they can do shade-wise.
Yes, I believe that there's got to be a compromise, as you suggest, and it depends on what they want to do. I am still amazed that a dentist would spend so many years in school and go so deeply in debt and try to create this practice only to become a dental technician. Why would you do that? We don't make that kind of bread, guys. And so,
have you met us?
Yeah. Do you see what I drive? Yeah. Doctor, keep your fingers wet and keep people in your hygiene chair, and you'll make a lot more money.
Keep your fingers wet. That's kind of sexual.
Keep your fingers wet, and you'll make a ton of money. But we're easily seduced by technology. We all are.
Yeah.
And so this is a cool new thing. Let's do this. Well, okay, yeah.
Those are my thoughts, too. I was just curious to see. I mean, every now and again you have a super rush and you've got to throw it in a faster, but it never looks as good.
It's a function of chemistry.
Yeah.
I get the phone call frequently. How thin can I make my zirconia? Well, you can make it really, really thin. but you can't sleep at night, so don't do it.
Yeah.
And so, I tell guys all the time, I want to see at least 0.7 of a millimeter of reduction, because Ivoclar will tell you that's what they have to have, so why shouldn't you get it? And doctor, if you really can't give me a 0.5 millimeter, maybe we ought to make a metal crown. Because if it works, you're a star, but if it breaks, you're a goat.
Yeah.
They're going to come back to you. They're not going to come back, and he's going to yell at you. And so, you got to understand what's best for you. And
It's always our fault,
Yeah.
Does stronger zirconia need less reduction? I always hear one number on reduction for zirconia, but you could have a stronger and you could have
what's the number you hear?
Oh, I don't remember.
Come on.
It's been a long time since I've been in the lab.
Okay, see how you are. Okay.
I was thinking 0.7 and 0.5 minimally, but I never
see, if I tell a technician 7, they cut it to 5. If I tell them 5, they
Same
cut
with
it to
the
3.
doctors.
Yeah,
you say a millimeter and you get 0.7.
Do you have less reduction with the stronger zirconia? This is where I insert the crickets.
That's an interesting question,
I'm trying to come up
though.
with the correct way to answer this, because the answer is, theoretically, yes. You could have a slightly thinner, but again...
Is it worth it?
No, it's not worth it, because measure your thumbnail with your metric calipers and see how thick your thumbnail is. If it's 2 or 3/10, that's how thick you're making your zirconia? Really? It just seems like we're setting ourselves up for disaster. And if we want to provide great patient care, so the dentist in turn can provide great patient care, then we need to take care of ourselves as technicians and our doctors as our clients. Doctor, that's not a good idea for this material. If that's really the space we have, then you're going to have to tell Mrs. Jones we have to do a gold crown or we have to do a non-precious crown, because we don't want to give her or him a root canal so we got enough room. Yep. It's okay. Yeah, we still like all of you. We want everybody to be happy. So don't point the gun at yourself, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, interesting. Let's talk about the multi-layered. How does that process work exactly? You just actually
in terms of putting it in the discs.
There you go.
I think that's
well,
what he's looking for.
We have a group of very skilled gnomes that come in at night and do all the stuff. They're the same people that steal your knife off your desk.
Oh, hell. No, that's me.
So
I left it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
What are you doing taking it in the bathroom?
I have like 5 pairs of loops.
Are you cutting yourself in the bathroom? This is not good, baby.
Yeah.
So the process is a little proprietary that I can't go into. But
that's fine.
When we first started out, think about this. If you were around when they're doing the first multi-layer stuff, you get it. You could see the layers not infrequently. That was the way they made it. And we started out doing like a 7-layer version and then a 6 and then a 5. We're trying to figure out how to do this. And finally we developed a process that gives us a very homogeneous blend of the zirconias. And we don't have a huge, we only have 3 layers in there. But it looks great because it's supposed to. It's designed that way. And so it's a little proprietary.
So it's less layers, but because you blend it, it gives that
makes
better
sense.
look than when we used to do 7 layers.
Yes.
7 layers.
And making 7 layers, I don't know what they would cost if they could still do it, but can you imagine pressing 7 different layers together?
Yeah.
Or even 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a recipe for disaster, and you want to avoid it, and we want to avoid it.
But on the layers, all the zirconia are the same type. Do they have to be? Can you mix the Ys and the whatevers?
You can, but why?
Well, I don't know.
The reason
I'm asking the nerd.
You
For
can't
those
see
of
that.
you that can't see, just gave him the finger.
And I deserved
which
it.
is something I do very often. So, high five.
I'm sorry. What was your question again? Let's see.
His question
Can you
was
mix the zirconia types?
Yes, to a certain extent. That's what our Beyond Plus is, a blended zirconia. But why would one, with the later model zirconias, what I consider to be third generation zirconias, high strength, high translucency, with your colorants in there, whether it's our Beyond Plus multi or just our Beyond Plus, it's the same strength all the way through, and it's you get the color and the translucency and all the stuff you need in there. Why
break
give
up the strength?
Why
I would
give up
say.
strength?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
so
at first,
you really can't. Not if you want it to be super strong. It's just like porcelain. I mean, you can't mess around with it, or it's going to become
gingival
more...
or cervical really strong, but the incisal nice and translucent.
Well, the thing is, with the way we make it, it's nice and translucent all the way around. Yeah, it's strong too. And so there was a marketplace when the 3Y stuff was kind of nearing the end of its life cycle in terms of, the doctors are demanding more and more translucency. There were some people that came out with hybrids, so they had stronger and weaker, more translucent, but they kind of missed the market because then the third generation stuff came out and it was strong and beautiful and all the colors you need and all this, everything right away. So, it's kind of like, I'm a big believer in titanium in terms of copings and stuff. It's a pain in the butt to work with, but there's a lot of really good things about it. But the whole industry just jumped over and went straight to zirconia. So in that regard, just forget about it, move on. And so I don't see much usefulness in a hybrid that has multiple strengths in it. Why not go for strength all the way?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
If there's a reason for that, And strong is another interesting question in that how many millions of zirconia restorations have been made that have broken due to lack of strength? Not many. I mean, is strength really even an issue anymore? It's strong enough. Goodness gracious, it's strong enough.
At 900 megapascals.
We're all worried about what it's doing to the opposing.
Yeah.
Well, zirconia, when it is, everybody's glaze breaks on everything, right? I've got crowns in my mouth that I glaze. The glaze breaks, and so with zirconia, if you got a dense zirconia to begin with, when the glaze does break, it's very smooth. Wherever that glaze ends, there's going to be a sharp edge, but the rest of it's very smooth, and there's very little wear against the opposing. In fact, I have some labs that glaze the contacts, and that's all, and they polish everything else. And so it's a very smooth material when you got the dense enough stuff to begin with.
We went through a time where we were polishing the occlusal, but it was very shiny.
Yeah, it does polish nice.
Well, some of it, the early stuff kind of got a mother of pearly look to it.
Yes,
but the stuff we've got now just doesn't pearl up like that. It just looks better. So, and I'm a big believer in polishing it when you can.
Yeah.
But in a large laboratory, the technique is glaze.
Yeah, slap some glaze on there, send it out the door.
I come from a large laboratory, and there's no way in hell I would polish 250 units a day.
No,
that'd be a nightmare.
No, it would be tough. And so, do we get enough out of it? I don't know. And it's got to be shiny. I mean, basically, the docs and the patients want shiny stuff. Ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
And so,
you're right.
Ooh, sparkly. So, it's it's an interesting decision to be made in there by both the clinician and the laboratory about what they can and want to do.
Yeah.
So, you worked in a big lab, huh?
Yeah, it's a small lab in a large lab.
Oh, okay.
So I do the high aesthetics in a smaller portion of a large lab. But my dad founded my lab 40 years ago.
Oh, so you're
second generation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Genetically predisposed to be a technician. Huh?
Straight up. Yep. I love it.
Weird since birth.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
A little lab rat
There
from when
you
I
go.
was probably 4 years old.
Oh,
so
God,
I
isn't
love
that funny?
it.
How that stuff starts out. You get it, once you
go
get
play
on
with
that
the
trail.
plaster and all the
Where was your
pins
lab?
In Salt Lake is where I had
Salt
my,
Lake?
Yeah,
Were you by yourself?
It varied in size. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I was a one-man lab, and then I was a three-man lab, and then I was a one-man lab, and then, I worked for big labs, I worked for small labs. But I view myself as I'm a technician. I'm not as good as you are, obviously, but I got in there and I made my crowns every day, and the doctors were happy.
And they were happy.
And I have no problem with that. That's my calling. That's my lot. And like so many people, so many of your listeners, I get in there every day. It takes courage to go in the lab every day. It takes courage to go to any job every day.
Yeah.
But you go in the lab and you face those challenges, and you try to get better, and you try to do a good job, and you try to be 110% of perfect all the time and get it there early. And it's difficult and challenging.
Yeah.
The people that continue to be technicians today, I respect them. And being respectable, one earns respect. And you've earned my respect by being at work and dealing with these issues. And it ain't easy. If it was easy, anybody could do it. So it's
life in a lab is definitely not easy.
No, it's not. And that's why
I left. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's why he says he left. He was asked to leave. So I want to help people. That's what I like to do. I want to help technicians get their stuff, understand what's happening to them, what's going on, how to fix it, how to make it look better, all those things. And that's the artisanal part of artisanal manufacturing, which is the last 10 or 20% that elevates that restoration beyond just what spits out of the mill.
Oh, yeah.
The mills make objects that look a lot like teeth. They're pretty good, but they're not what they completely could be because of the limitations of the machinery.
Absolutely.
And so that's where the skill and the efforts of the technician come into play. Yeah. How you see the color, how you see those delicate, a tooth is nothing but delicate curves, let's face it. And so how you see those and where they should be and the colors that you infuse in, it's emotional. It's something that you put into that.
It is emotional.
And so when you're done and you look at that handful of crowns, it's really fulfilling. It's like, holy
You're
cool.
super jazzed.
Yeah, it's like, wow. And they're heavy, so it feels like you did something. And so that's really good, too. It's being a technician is challenging. New materials. I don't know that zirconia is the last material that will ever come out. I mean, just machinery is improving. Artificial intelligence is coming along. So how does a technician remain a technician? I think by doing that last 10%, by the realizing that there a little bit of you, that's why you're so tired when you go home at night, is that a little bit of you is in each one of those crowns. Yep. And if it's not, then you still work in a laboratory, but you may not be a dental technician. And I'm not disparaging anybody, but that's just kind of the way it is.
Well, those of us that do it super love it. I agree. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's not been a day that I walked in my whole career that I've just left hating what I do. It's just internal.
What kind of drugs do you take?
Well,
can I get?
I used to take Fireball and gummy bears.
Yeah, she drinks a lot. Yeah.
Well, now I just love what I do. So I agree.
I tell
with
people all the time, when a doctor calls up or something happens, and I tell them, look, I didn't wake up this morning and said, how can I screw up Dr. Smith today? I mean, come on, nobody ever does that.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you're going to face that each day and upset patients and anxious people, and some of these cases are large and they're expensive, and there's a lot of, anticipation here. And so you're wrapped up in all that emotion from the patient and the doctor. The doctor's kind of seeing dollar signs, and you're thinking, I got to get this right, and you want to make the patient happy. That's a huge ball of stuff that you got to deal with. So, I think that a good technician,
Barbara?
Like Barbara here.
Like Barbara?
I was thinking, like Babs. And, she's doing a great job. She's giving something back to those people out there, even though they don't know her.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Thanks.
I wish I was that good a technician.
You probably are.
So let's wrap up.
Yeah.
What's next for B&D? What's coming out? What's the big thing you guys are working on?
The big thing. Let's see. Well, again, it's all special secret stuff. And so there's only so much I can say about things, but there are some cool things on the horizon, and we are actually a pretty creative company. We've done a lot of things first. We've got some patents that reflect that, and so there's some really cool potential stuff coming on.
Nice.
But I don't know. I mean, not by February, not by LMT Chicago. And but
this last year was a little hard for.
Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah. So. I think that what we are trying to do is just remain abreast of both things in dental technology and how better we can help laboratories market and identify with the doctors and do those kind of things, provide those things for them so that they can be competitive. Because it's tough for a smaller lab to be competitive with a big guy. Yeah. It's just tough.
Well, good luck on your lecture today. It was wonderful talking to you.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Super great.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah.
I hope give somebody a laugh or have some fun. So there you go.
It's good stuff.
All right.
I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Implant Digital Director Husam Sahwil. Did I get it?
Close enough.
Okay, yeah. From DDS Dental Lab all the way down in Tampa, we're at Whitmix's Digital Forum, day 2, early in the morning. Not too early, but it's kind of early.
I've got the raspy voice going on this morning.
That's how we like Barb. What's happening, man? How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing real well.
So he is like literally right around the corner from me. We were on the same flight coming here from Tampa.
And
we ran into each other and going back.
Yeah.
So it's just a small world.
Yeah,
I mean, we're in Kentucky, and he's right around my corner.
Well, how many flights do you think are from Tampa to Louisville every day? I mean, their choices are probably pretty limited.
Yeah, they probably are.
So tell us your story. How did you get into dental technology?
So I'm originally from the Middle East, from Lebanon. I'm Palestinian. My dad is a pharmacist. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Pharmaceutical name's too long.
Yeah, it's too long for me. Yeah,
I could never do it. It's like aspirin. Yeah, I got that. That's about it.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. It was too long for me. There was a doctor working with my dad in the same pharmacy. She's from Russia.
Okay.
And she's the one who said, like, why didn't you study dental technician? I never heard of dental technician before.
And when was this? Like, how long ago?
So I'm going to look really old if I tell you.
Okay.
So that was in 1996, I think, 97.
Okay.
And where did she come up with dental technology to even tell you about it?
No, I have no idea. She's just like, hey, why don't you do dental technology?
And she was a pharmacist too?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, okay. And where would I study that? She said, why didn't you go to Russia? I said, okay, I'll go to Russia. Like, going to Russia. I said, okay. So that's what happened.
So you went to Russia?
So I went to Russia. I got my degree from Belarus. That's where I got my degree.
Was there nowhere to learn in Lebanon?
Yeah, there was.
But why Russia?
Because I wanted to go to Russia.
Really? Why?
That is cool. That's
No, I think it's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
just curious, out of all the places, why Russia? I mean,
It was cheaper to
Okay.
go to Russia. I had a friend that was studying in Russia too, in the same city in
okay.
Belarus.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'll go there.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Was it a 2-year degree?
It was a 2-year, but it was intense 2-year.
Yeah.
So we were studying 6 days, only Sunday off.
Wow.
So it was very intense 2 years.
How many hours a day?
We start from 8 to 3.
8 to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was some crazy Russian, 18-hour days, 6 days a week, no sleep.
18 hours. Jesus, God.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
So
it
you
wasn't
learned
that bad.
everything? So when you went to school, you learned everything?
So the first year you study the language. You study, depends on
Interesting.
what you want to be. That's the focus of your language. So if you are in pharmacy, in medical, you study more of science. If you are in engineering, they'll give you more about physics. So, and since I was kind of like medical, that was the focus in the first year. So we finished the first year. Then the second year you study. Of course, initially start just model work. There was no CAD/CAM back then. It was very basic. It was a lot of ortho and removable. Even the way that we did the crowns, it was very old style crowns.
Sure.
Yeah.
There was no casting. It's just something on a hammer and you make your crown. It was very old style.
How many people in the class? Was it big or?
It
Popular?
wasn't big.
Yeah.
We were around 15, 20 in the class.
Good compared to today's
Yeah,
numbers in
that's what I was
school.
gonna
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we started.
So the first year was language. The second year was hands-on.
Yeah, second year and third year.
So did you know right away you wanted to do implants, or did you
No.
evolve to that?
So after I finished, I went back to Lebanon. I worked for a couple of years. And then I went to England. I lived in England 4 years. That's where I met my wife.
Holy schmoly, you've been all over, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met my wife, and then we decided to come to America. That was not the plan because I'm so family connected. So I told her, I'm not going to America. It's too far from Lebanon. And, of course, it went her way.
She won.
Of course.
So she wanted to come to America.
It was a choice. Her choice, of course.
Yeah.
It's not my choice. So she's from Iowa.
Oh, she was
Oh.
American?
Yeah, so she's
Oh,
American.
okay.
She's from Iowa. So we decided to come back. It's after she lived, I think, a few months in Lebanon with me, and she
Yep.
decided, I want to go back to my family. I said, okay, yeah.
So you moved to Iowa.
I moved to Iowa. So,
How was that?
So it wasn't big of a shock for me in Iowa because it's almost where I lived in Lebanon.
In the country?
In the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came to Iowa. I'm in the airplane waiting. Okay, where are the high buildings that I see in the movies? I don't see any of this. Everything I see is cornfields, cows. I said,
Yep.
okay, well, I'm still in Lebanon, I think.
Yeah.
I think they missed the flight. So we landed in Iowa. I worked 4 years in Iowa.
At a dental lab.
In a dental lab.
Yeah.
So as I called, there were only 2 labs in Ames. That's the city.
Yeah.
One of them I called the first one, and he said, no, I don't need technicians. I called the second guy, and he said, I don't need technicians, but if you want to come, I said, I don't have a work permit. I just need something. For the first 3 months, I just want to learn. He said,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. So we started working, and he said, do you know how to wax? I said, of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
started waxing. He looked at my wax up. I still have those wax ups.
Do you?
Yeah, he's they look like chicken scratches.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to say anything embarrassing. He said, well, we do things different in America. I said, okay, so let's see, you're different. And, of course, it was one of the most beautiful crowns wax up I ever seen. And I worked with him 3 months until I got my work permit. And he said, do you want to stay here? I said, yeah, of course. And it was a boutique lab. We were only 3 people. And he was my first mentor here. And that's how I started.
So basically, you mentored with him for 3 months, no pay.
No pay.
No pay,
Yeah.
just learning the craft.
Yeah.
Until your application for work permit went through.
Yeah.
And then he hired you right there on the
And
spot.
then he hired me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then he reimbursed me for those 3 months. He said, I want to give you something. So he gave me a paycheck for those 3 months.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was really nice
Wink,
of
wink.
him. Wink,
Government doesn't listen.
wink. No, we're not talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
So at that time, what were you doing? You were waxing for him?
I was doing model work. I was doing waxing, a little bit of
It's a three-person
removable.
lab. You do everything.
You
yeah.
do everything,
I
exactly.
guess so.
Yeah, metal finishing, casting, all that. There was no zirconia back then. That was in 2003, 4, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So everything was,
High gold still.
yes, everything was traditional.
Yeah.
There was no digital.
So where'd you go from there? Because you're not in Iowa anymore.
No. So after those 4 years, he decided to sell the lab. He said, I just want to sell the lab. I want to just go around the country with my wife. So he sold the lab. He sold his house in Iowa. And he said, just you can start looking for a job. So I interviewed with 2 labs. One of them was DSG Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
I flew to DSG Clearwater.
Yeah.
I interviewed with them. They hired me. And I worked for, I think, like 4 years.
So why Florida?
Why Florida?
Well, okay. Obvious reasons.
Yeah, from Iowa to Florida.
But I'm just,
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're open to leave Iowa. Your wife was willing to leave.
Yeah.
Why Florida?
I had 2 job offers. One was in California, was in Florida.
Okay.
And comparing the prices.
have.
Did you ever try any of the labs in between? There is a whole country in between.
I didn't have much time to look for
Yeah.
a job because he decided within 2 months. He said, in 2 months, I'm going to close the lab. And I didn't have much time to start looking. So I started looking for labs, and I found 2. Those are the 2 that I sent my application to. And I got accepted in both. The one in California, it was almost the same pay, but because the living is different between California and Florida.
Yeah.
So
that was
why
a good
did
call.
you lean towards a big lab? I mean, here you are at a 3-person lab.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know what was a big lab is.
Really?
Or
Yeah.
production. So I sent my resume and I got interviewed. They accepted me, and that's how it started. And Bob told me, like, okay, you know how to do the quality work now.
Yeah.
So you need to work on production. Because we were a very small lab. Our production was 3 PFM crowns, 1 denture, 1 gold crown, and 2 splints
A day?
a day. That was our production for the
big
day.
labs are super different, aren't they?
What do you oversee now?
Wow.
That every 5 minutes?
Oh, I bet.
Yes.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So you went to DSG. So you guys moved to Clearwater then?
So I moved to Clearwater.
Okay.
I was there for 3 months until I got the insurance. Then we only had 1 kid back then. And
Now he's got 5, just saying.
Now I got 5. That's why I'm famous, because of my 5 kids. So after I moved, after 3 months, my wife came to Clearwater. She joined me with the 1 kid that we had back then. And that's how I started
Wow.
production. I started as a waxer at DSG.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you went to DSG Clearwater, which is just 5 minutes south of me, and
Yeah.
you were waxing.
Yes.
So, wow.
I was waxing. I was doing metal finishing. And then I started working with Eric Wade at DSG.
Yeah, I know him. He's
yeah,
great. Good
he's
guy.
a great guy.
Great guy,
So he was my second mentor, and I had the support of Richard Harrell. He was the general manager
At the time, yeah.
Yes, he supported me big time.
That's great.
So I get the support, I get the mentor from Eric, and that's how I started into implants.
So how was it going from 3 PFMs a day to, here, wax all these today?
It was stressful.
Yeah.
The thing, because one, you get paid per piece.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
And also, like, one of the waxers that was working with next to me, she's been doing this for a while. She was the main waxer at DSG, and her production was like 5 times more than mine.
Yeah.
So it was challenging because you want to be there and you want to do it as quality.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it was challenging at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you eventually grasped it, and you were
Yeah.
just banging them out.
Yeah, and then I started working in implants, started working in a little bit of CAD-CAM, and like I said, because of the support from the team there, mainly from Richard and Eric, I lived literally across the street. So they gave me key for the lab, and they said, if you want to go, do whatever you want to learn. So I was working every Saturday and Sunday and working CAD-CAM, scanning, designing, learn implants. So that's how I started.
You're the second person that we talked to that went in on their own. We talked to somebody yesterday, Whitney, I believe.
Yeah.
And she was the same way. You know, when you really love something or you want to get better, you know, you
You
give
got to
your
put
time.
in the extra time.
Yeah.
Yes, and it helped. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you have the support from the team that hired you. If you have the support and you're willing to do it, you're willing to go that extra mile, you will accomplish anything.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to put in your own time
Yeah.
to get better.
Yes.
That's what a lot of people don't realize.
So how did you land at the Whitmix Dental Forum? You just... Need to get out of town?
That was the second reason.
Yeah.
One, it's mainly the education because it's digital and this is where everybody's going, and there are good speakers here.
There are some good speakers.
Yeah, and also I want to get out of the lab to take a break because we haven't seen anybody in person for 2 years.
Yeah.
So this is the first meeting that I go to in 2 years.
Do you usually do Chicago and all those
And
meetings?
FDLA, do you go to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do lecture with the lab, so I'm on the road almost every week before COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lecturing to dentists?
To dentists.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking
So
about
You left
what,
that part
implants
out.
options?
implants and CAD-CAM.
Cool.
Yeah.
How'd
Yeah.
you get into that?
It started slow.
Yeah.
It started with small presentations, and it grew to where I give full presentations now.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Just
Implant and
restorative
digital.
options?
Yeah, restorative.
Yeah.
You start from the very basics, how to take impressions for implants, all the way to all-on-4 cases.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and everything in between. So and digital.
Do you find dentists are pretty receptive to
I was going to
lab?
ask, how is it lecturing to dentists?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
They're receptive, but every once in a while you will find that dentist like in the audience that doesn't buy what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if they don't buy what you're saying and they have something in their head, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do, you're
win it.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the lab guy.
Exactly, you're the lab guy. You're like, who are you to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
But for the most part, tell you, I do have respect for most of the dentists that I work with, and they have the same feeling towards me.
Yeah.
So we work as a team. It's whatever best for the patient.
Yep.
So you're doing that every week before COVID?
Yeah, we used to do that almost every week.
At the DDS location, or were you traveling?
No, I was traveling.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were traveling almost everywhere in the country.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Leaving his 5 kids behind for the day. I'm going to go lecture.
Yeah, I got to work.
Yeah, and by the time I get back home, I would see my wife at the door. Here's the key, and here's your kids. I'll be back. I need a break.
I bet.
Check
Wow.
in, check out.
Yeah. I'll
So
be back.
what's your day at DDS now?
Yeah.
Are you on the bench doing work, or is it more manager role?
All of the above.
Yeah.
So I do my own work. I do have accounts, the big accounts that I work with. I do their cases. I do have a great team.
Yeah.
And this is the key for success.
Yeah.
If you have a great team, you can do anything with that team. So I don't have to physically do everything. I can treatment plan the case with the doctor and go my team. I'm lucky with the team that I have. I picked every single one.
Yeah, I
Like
was
we
gonna
had
ask,
a lot of
yeah.
interviews.
Yeah, they have them all in the Tampa Bay area because we can't find any. So they must all be with you.
Yeah,
Mitt.
they're a good team.
Yeah.
Yes.
How big is the team?
In implant, we have 12.
Holy
Wow.
moly. You guys
And-
must do a ton of implants.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's one of our
Damn.
biggest department as far as not just the volume, like the revenue. We do a lot of implants. We do a lot of full arches.
Yeah.
too.
Do you
So,
really? Yeah.
It's the team that I have. It's a great team. So I don't have to do everything myself.
Yeah.
I can just treatment plan and go to the team, scan it this way. I still check the cases. I still QC them.
You QC all of them?
Not every single one. Like the
lot of them?
cases, yeah, that like full arches, yes.
Yeah.
I QC them. I still work with the team. I know the doctors that I work with. I know what they want. So it's easier for me to
Sure.
explain to the
Oh,
team
yeah,
what I'm
for
looking
sure.
for.
Plus, it's good to have one set of eyeballs on full arches rather than, a couple people, because
Yeah.
it's got to be right.
Yeah,
going
but
in.
12 people, that's huge. You guys doing a lot of CAD-CAM, obviously, right?
Yeah,
Most
so
of-
12
most
people
of
are
it?
just the implant team. And we
Yeah.
have the CAD-CAM, I think we have 8 or 9.
Wow.
And then we have digital team. Digital team are the people that check intraoral scans, iTero, trios.
How big is DDS altogether? Do you know?
Oh, it's-
We have we have two locations. One
Okay.
in Tampa, one in China. We own it and operate it 100%. The one in China, it's ours. I used to go there every 6 months
Did you really?
to
Wow.
do training on implant and CAD/CAM. Since COVID, we haven't been there.
Sure.
But before COVID, I used to go there every 6 months.
Wow.
And we have 2 other managers that used to go do the same thing every 6 months. We would stay 2 to 4 weeks, depends on what we're discussing with the team
Yeah.
over
Wow,
there.
you've seen the world, my friend. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity that
Yeah.
a lot of
it
people
is.
in our industry don't get to get.
Yeah, the first time you go there, it's new country, different culture. It's cool.
Yeah.
But the flight is 16-hour flight.
Ugh.
So by the time
That
you get
kicks
there,
your butt,
you're dead.
huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a long flight. And that's like you go from Tampa, let's say, to Chicago or New York. That's
Yeah.
another 4 or 5 hours there with the layover. Then we land in Hong Kong, and we have a driver waiting for us in Hong Kong. And that driver takes us to Shenzhen in the mainland China. That's another 2-hour drive.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So by the time you get there,
You're
and
whipped.
it's 12-hour difference, so you cannot even sleep. But by the time we get there, it's almost midnight in China, which is 12 noon here.
Yeah.
So it's like you go to bed like 3-4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then what? You train the lab over there just on technique, or you train new employees, or?
Mostly we train if we have a new material. So I
Okay.
would go train the team. I do have also my team in China. I have a team on CAD/CAM. I have a team in implants I work with. So this is like train the trainer.
Yeah.
So I train my team, and then they do the training for the rest of the team.
So you look over 12 in Florida and then a bunch more over there.
We have almost 1,000 employees in China.
Holy schmoly.
Yeah, it's a big lab in China. In Florida, the implant are almost, well, altogether, the team that I have, it's between implant, CAD/CAM, and digital, like 25 people.
Awesome.
That's
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
No
cool.
pressure there.
No pressure
wonder
at
you
all.
need to get out of town. That's a lot of stress. So obviously you learn to manage a lot of products, because I know, coming from a big lab myself, it's a lot of stress and a lot of work.
Yes, it is
And
a lot of
it's,
stress.
it's you, as soon as you walk in the door, bam, you're in it. It's just like nonstop.
Yeah.
So.
You must have just a large collection of screws. I mean, to see that many implants, it must be nuts.
Yeah, we do. We have, between screws, analogs, parts, like we have inventory of the parts that we did not use. It's a big, big bag that we have.
That's crazy.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I think we're on the same flight on the way back. Thank you for coming by and talking to us.
Yeah,
Thank
it's good
you.
to
It's
finally
Great
meet
hearing
you.
your story.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
It's always
Awesome.
good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey Barb, did you know that Grow3X wants to help lab owners to get better at marketing their own labs?
Yes, I do. And I think, from what I hear, they offer quite a number of marketing programs.
Heck yeah, that's true. They just had a marketing summit earlier in November in Charlotte, North Carolina, where they had a bunch of lab and business owners present their best marketing practices.
That is really cool. I really wish I would have been there.
Me too. But now they're getting ready for their Dental Marketing Masters program next year in May. This is going to also be in Charlotte. It will be a 2 full-day workshop that goes deep into the why, how, and whats of dental marketing.
So everybody listening, make sure you register early, as Grow3X currently offers an early bird registration special.
So how early is early?
How early, you ask? Well, you have until the end of the year to save some big bucks.
I gotcha. You know what other thing I really like about the marketing program?
Do tell.
Well, they have a Grow3X marketing scholarship for young dental marketing professionals under the age of 30. So that rules both of us out, Barb.
All right.
This scholarship offers free tuition for up to 3 young lab owners, dental marketing folks, office managers, and etc.
I love that. Can you please tell me how to apply?
Just go to the event section at grow3x.com. That's GRO3X.com. Click on the Dental Marketing Masters and fill out an application at the bottom of the page.
Anything else you have to say?
Absolutely, I do. You know I always have something else to say. Grow3X will donate $100 per applicant to the Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology
What?
for the first 10 applications they receive. So remember, if you're under 30, which is not us, and interested in stepping up your marketing game, make sure you apply ASAP, and no later than January 30th, 2022.
That is fantastic. Awesome.
Thank you, Grow3X, and we appreciate your support of the podcast.
That was all-time best, Elvis. Trying to pronounce names is your God-given gift. A big thanks to Rich and Husam for sitting down with us at the Preet booth during the Whitmix Digital Forum. And Husam is like literally right across the pond from me. If that's a word in here in Florida, over in Tampa. So we actually took the same flight out together. It was cool.
Which pond? Which pond are you talking about?
I was just being facetious. Like,
Okay.
the pond they call England, and you go over the pond. But
I get it. Okay. I thought there was some big Florida pond
I was just
that you guys
trying to
had.
be witty, I guess.
Okay, I got it.
It's always great to hear from manufacturers that were also dental technicians who understand the industry. And even though Husam and I are both in the same area and technically competitors, that conversation again proved how great our industry and how much stronger we are when we are working together for the great good of our industry. Oh, so much love there. So much love there.
So much. Keep it down.
Oh, I've got the holiday spirit, bro. I'm
already?
so bad this year. Oh, God. I never have it, and I have it.
I don't get it till the morning of.
I made fudge. I made white chocolate fudge. I made pumpkin freaking cookies. Oh, my God. I'm out of control. I love it.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. It's all going
That's
on my bootay.
All right. All righty, everybody. That's all we got for you. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye. Stop being so good. How many times I gotta tell you?